Greetings all you metamaniacs, this is T-Money G, and good old Maurice and I have created Operation Metaverse's very first Build Your Own Squad video featuring who else but the lovely, elegant, talented, and super kick-ass Qira. Scoundrels are the second largest faction, with over 30 units currently in the game. It's time to take a look at how to build a proper team out of the batch. From damage dealers to tanks, this video takes you through a number of steps to building your ideal scoundrel team, starting with the undisputed bombshell of a leader, Qira.
First, let's try to sell you on building a scoundrel team. Even if you're a beginning or mid-game player, the scoundrels are a great option for territory wars and rival factions such as the bounty hunters and the crew-led First Order teams, both on offense and defense. In terms of mods, you don't need a lot of speed, and your team can thrive on critical damage and crit chance in the age of offense mods. You might even get to repurpose some of the old scoundrels within your roster, and many of the characters are indeed easy to farm. You can build a team without any Zetas, though of course they always improve upon a good thing. There are a number of core mechanics that most teams should have. When building a team, you want to make sure you have cleansing, you have a Dispel, turn meter manipulation, damage, taunting tanks, and support characters. These are characters that usually bring unique traits such as buffs, revives, or heals to bolster the squad synergy. We have sorted scoundrels into these traits, removing the duds for you and outlined the best characters of the rest.
A couple of disclaimers before we begin. Since the bounty hunters thrive as a unit, we've only included two, which are not only a solid fit under Qira, but because they are pilots may be more commonly available. They're also not instrumental in the success of a bounty hunter team. And then there's Nest. As arguably one of the best overall characters in the game, she will clearly be one of the best, if not the very best option for your scoundrel team. Nest can definitely occupy a spot on your team, but due to her versatility, you may want to consider an alternate. There are a few options in terms of scoundrel leadership abilities, but none as versatile as Qira's. As we explore the dozens of combinations, Qira is the only mandatory character for the purpose of this video. Qira's lead is one of the most universal, faction-oriented leaderships in the entire game. Let's dive in by first examining what Qira's leadership does and how it affects the entire faction, both dark and light side. 20% critical chance, 10% protection, and a bonus on a critical hit, either maximum of 30% offense for attackers, 60% crit avoidance for tanks, or 60 speed for support and healers. There have been scoundrel-related territory wars bonuses in the past, so if they bring these back, they would apply in addition to everything else. A 20% critical chance bonus for scoundrels, 15% stacking critical damage, and a self-cleanse on critical hits for bounty hunters. As with many synergistic squads, this team is modded to take advantage of the leadership bonuses Qira affords. Every strategy will differ slightly, but a nice conservative overall approach to modding your team is high crit chance, high protection, and a large amount of offense for your attackers. Once Zetas are invested, a lot of your offense comes from attacking at a turn, meaning you can skimp a little on speed. While very few of the Zetas are required, a number will increase damage drastically and allow you to do so without high speed secondaries.
When prepared, Qira has an area of effect Dispel, so you have the very first core mechanic for any team comp, the ability to dispel enemy buffs. Having multiple forms of Dispel is never a bad idea, and the faction offers many others that you will see here. Chewbacca, Cad Bane, and Nest are your main options, along with veteran smuggler Chewbacca. The legendary Chewbacca brings another AoE Dispel with big damage. Nest provides the mechanic on her basic attack, and she counters. She gets hit, she counters, dispels the tank. Cad Bane is one of the two bounty hunter options we mentioned, and you'll see why as we progress through this video. His unavailable stun glove is a solid ability post-rework. Not only does it dispel a target, it stuns them and removes 50% turn meter as well as 25% max protection if the enemy is debuffed.
The next key component to any team compilation is the ability to remove debuffs from your allies. Qira cannot save you here, and this is a glaring weakness of the faction as a whole. Mission and Clone Wars Chewbacca can cleanse themselves, but there are only 3 cleansers as options. The first is Captain Han, who has a targetable cleanse that heals and grants turn meter to both Han and an ally. The 10-turn cooldown is a turn-off, but paired with the right debuff-oriented compilation, it can be ready every other turn. Think of the potential of Canderous Ordo, for instance, here. Young Lando also has another targetable cleanse, but this one applies stealth and potency up for 2 turns, as well as providing 50% turn meter for himself. Finally, L337, one of the most dynamic and efficient cleansers in the game. Every time she takes damage, she will cleanse a random scoundrel ally without needing a move to do so. Daze and heal immunity are this team comp's kryptonite, and she is your best option to combat these.
Some say defense wins championships, but all should say turn meter manipulation wins Galaxy of Heroes. Whether it be boosting your own or removing an enemy's turn meter, characters with any element of turn meter manipulation are more attractive than those without. Several characters in the faction bring some sort of manipulations with them, some for themselves only, some for the whole team. Nest's kit includes a special move which removes turn meter from all enemies and is packaged in with a Daze. This ability isn't OP enough, it's on a character with 171 base speed. Stormtrooper Han is the OG turn meter manipulator. His defensive stats for a tank are abysmal, but if his taunt is timed properly, it can turn the tide in your favor. Very disruptive against teams with tightly synced turn orders. Han Solo's basic attack double taps and removes 35% turn meter if the target has more than 50% turn meter. S tier ability for some raid bosses. Cad Bane, as mentioned earlier, Stun Glove removes 50% turn meter. His unique provides cooldown reduction mechanics, so you can have this ability primed for every other turn.
Taunting tanks. Remember the characters from the categories that we just went through, as it'll help you make a decision on a final product. L3 has the most dynamic cleanse of the bunch, and also slots in as a prime candidate for our next topic, taunting tanks. Most teams need at least one, and this faction has some fantastic options. We're trying to build a good team, so we'll exclude Clone Wars Chewbacca and Gamorrean Guard. The first tank we'll go over is L3. L3 is a pre-taunter that will continue to taunt when prepared. Every time she self-buffs, she regains prepared, meaning 3 to 4 turns of taunting to begin the match. Her and Zalbar both have countering mechanics, and remember that Qira's lead provides protection regeneration and stacking crit avoidance when they crit. Zalbar benefits from the same perk, only with a much larger health and protection pool, armor shredding AoE, and is a key piece of the evolving damage over time strategy. Unlike L3, he's an auto-taunter. Anytime an ally falls below 100% health, his taunt goes up and absorbs insane amounts of damage when properly modded. If he crits 3 times, he has 85% crit avoidance, good health steal, and protection recovery when zated. He also has incredible synergy with Mission Vow. Last but not least, Stormtrooper Han's taunt is more for the razzle-dazzle and not the protection it provides. If he is able to keep the taunt up and withstand a few hits, he generates 20% turn meter every time.
The Scoundrel faction is rife with great offense options, and all attackers except Cad Bane gain a maximum of 30% offense under Qira's lead. Many offensive options are attractive not only for their big damage, but also for the mods they utilize. The mod meta has shifted to offensive sets, but most of these units can still benefit from your old trusty crit damage set mods. There are a plethora of crit chance boosting mechanics within the faction, assuring your crit chance percentage can justify the use of these sets. Let's not forget Qira's lead provides 10% protection per crit, plus the stacking bonuses. A large portion of your scoundrel damage is delivered out of turn, meaning you won't need blistering speed to generate offense like some other comps. Offense primaries and secondaries are your key to success in this team, making them a very reasonable build for the newer player, or a viable team that won't drain your top speed secondaries for the veteran or pay-to-play player.
We'll begin the damage option discussion with characters that have dual synergy with other factions. These characters are recommended for the resource managers or newer players looking to tackle as many special events quickly. The Bounty Hunters are a huge sub-faction with the Scoundrel faction, a faction within a faction. While we could have technically included all of these characters, IG-88 and Cad Bane will be the ones we discuss as they have multiple uses in the game. IG-88's a Bounty Hunter, which makes him a Scoundrel, and obviously he has the droid synergy tag as well. Pop him in the IG-2000 as a crew member, and you've got one of the most versatile units in the entire game, including under Qira lead. He deals big damage that includes many of the game's best debuffs, and with the Zeta, he can turn the team into a Nightsister slaying machine. His damage comes at a price. His durability is a concern, so you'll want to include L3 for the synergy and the heal, young Lando to stealth, or another way to protect him. Additionally, Cad Bane's kit includes the before-mentioned stun gun and a double-tapping basic that can provide himself turn meter and refresh his cooldowns. He's a very self-sustaining unit with all the passive mechanics and benefits from Qira's leadership.
Let's not forget that Cad Bane can get 60 speed for being a support character under Qira lead. The Rebel faction also has a few double dippers. While they are some of your best options under Qira, they are also going to be some of the best options under a variety of Rebel leaderships. Players with deeper rosters may want to consider one of the other options to not disturb their Rebel synergies. For the first time in many moons, Mustache Lando makes his return to a YouTube video. His kit is a bit dated, yes, but Qira breathes new life into the retired credit heist master. As with any AoE under Qira, there's a potential of up to 50% protection recovery. In Lando's case, he can spam it every turn. He's a situational all-star, but he's worthless in situations where the opponent has countering or crit avoidance mechanics. We know him, we love him, Han Solo and Chewbacca. The damage output between the duo is unrivaled, and you get another team member benefiting from the guard ability. Two perfect examples of damage being dealt out of turn. They also bring support mechanics. When Zeta, Chewbacca brings a nice healing element paired with constant percentage-based damage. Han's unique allows him to shoot first and stun an opponent threat before the match begins. Passive includes crit bonuses and a countering mechanic, and he can also give a nice squad-wide buff with his Never Tell Me the Odds skill.
Biggs and Wedge, Chirrut and Baze, Mission and her big, beautiful Wookiee life partner, Zalbar. All these dynamic duos are nearly inseparable in-game. Though Zalbar has huge utility on his own as an auto-taunting tank with one of the largest health pools in the game, when paired with Mission, the damage can become just plain sick. With Mission's Zeta, she assists every time Zalbar uses an ability, and in this case, the assists include anytime Big Z assists or counters out of turn. Her unique gives 50% offense to the pair, and she gains 10% stacking offense every time Zalbar takes damage for 2 turns. If the opposing team can't dispel or get through your Zalbar, Mission's basic can easily deliver 60k damage. Mission and Zalbar are also reliable sources of damage over time debuffs, and her unique to her blind debuff causes all but a few abilities to whiff on their next attack.
Nest. She's an all-star, period, on every squad. She's a countering character that dispels on her basic attack, and the Zeta allows her damage to stack quite nicely. Lots of survivability mechanics with protection up from her unique, protection recovery from Qira, and a top-notch health steal.
Young Han is the first of our 2 prepared options in the attacker category. A self-buffing machine, when used properly, he can deliver massive single-target damage. While the Zeta here isn't quite as flashy as some of the others in this category, its damage output is among the best, with the 70% assist chance. Zalbar attacks, 2 big basic attacks assisting him in Mission and Young Han. Yes, please. His special attack, Just in Time, can eliminate an enemy and deals bonus damage based on other prepared allies. Not to mention, Young Han is a key unit in soloing the heroic tank raid.
Young Lando is the second prepared attacker, and like Han, generates extra damage based on the amount of prepared allies. Except his bonus is on his basic attack. Sounds great, but you won't be using his basic much in the right debuff-oriented comp. His big damage attack, Hot Hand, has an opportunity to be refreshed every single turn. Not just his turn, but every time an ally takes a turn as well. His basic attack includes a unique mechanic where enemies cannot counter, gain turn meter, or buffs during his turn. Him and the ship he pilots are both extremely underutilized in the current state of the game. We have mentioned debuff-oriented comps a couple times now, and Ordo is a multi-attacking damage overtime machine. His basic attack has a chance to triple tap, and he also has an AoE, so that will fuel absurd amounts of protection regeneration for himself under the Qira lead. If you decide to go with Ordo, he will pair best with Mission and Zalbar, and long term this trio would fit nicely under a Karth lead to provide roster flexibility.
There are several options in terms of squad-wide support. With many of the support abilities being determined by the team you select, recommendations would be very specific and tough to include in a concise video. The prepared mechanic, which was introduced with the Han Solo movie, falls into the support category. The prepared mechanic is a bit complex, and to prevent this video from getting too much longer, we will release a separate video explaining prepared mechanics and how to utilize them. We'll put a link to that video in the description of this video when it is complete. One of the characters we have to discuss now, however, is Vandor Chewbacca. Vandor has become a staple on Defense and Territory Wars and Grand Arena, and is a wonderful character to theorycraft with due to his prepared mechanic. If you select this character for your team, you will want the Zeta, as his usefulness without is marginal. While his Ferocious Protector unique provides protection regeneration, the Zeta adds the ability to revive a light side ally when prepared. Keeping him prepared and his protection bar full can allow this revive mechanic to be ready over and over and over again. When the revive is used, prepared is removed from Vandor Chewie, as well as when he uses his special Freedom Fighter. When prepared, Freedom Fighter does more damage and thus more healing. When he is prepared, he includes himself in the heal, the cooldown is reduced by 2, and he grants all prepared allies 30% protection up. Imagine a super hairy Jolie Bindo.
There are a few other healing options within the faction, and we've briefly touched on a lot of them already. Captain Han is the character most have as his requirement for light side territory battles once upon a time. Got us pretty good there, didn't they? We were forced to farm him, and utilizing him as a support option for your scoundrel team is a decent use for your investment. He cleanses, heals, and grants turn meter. While his revive benefits rebels more than will the scoundrels, it will come in handy, and he does have days on his basic attack. Give him strong consideration if you are using Han Solo and Chewbacca. The veterans were also a forced farm for Rey Jedi training. While they're not the best options available, when paired together they do have nice synergy and are decent self-sufficient units with massive amounts of health steal. Their own healers, if you will. An AoE ability block is always useful, as well as an additional stagger and daze mechanics. We'll conclude with Tuken characters we've mentioned several times. L337, when modded properly, grants one of the largest health-based heals in the entire game. The gradual stacking max health included in her kit will allow this heal to be more and more useful as the battle goes on, and it can be refreshed quickly based on the number of prepared allies. Chewbacca Zeta grants 3% health and protection regen whenever he does damage, but the wording is misleading. Chewbacca deals 2 types of damage whenever he uses an ability, physical and max health based damage, so it's technically 6%. This includes his physical turns and also when he's assisting his guarded allies. His AoE Dispel also serves as a massive heal, as that's 6% per enemy struck.
We hope you enjoyed this journey into building a scoundrel team. As mentioned in the video, we have another coming out explaining the prep mechanics behind the solo tunes. This will help you dive a little deeper and decide how best to use these particular characters within your Qira-led squad. If you got this far, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope this information helped. You can always join us on Tuesday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our live stream, and look forward to more Build Your Own Squad videos coming very soon to help you in your Grand Arena and Territory Wars matches.